Irashaimase! Hello and welcome to FItaurus Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef FItaurus. It's time once again for Shmup Saturday, and on the menu for this Saturday, we've got Superstar Path by DYA Games. So this is a title I would have never discovered if not for the recommendation by Wanyo, so thank you Wanyo, I really appreciate it. It's an interesting hybrid between puzzle action titles and shoot 'em ups, so what kind of taste does that combination go and have? Let's get cooking and find out. So we'll just go ahead and blow away the old save data that was there, start from scratch. So when we go and get to this screen here, we go and have a selection of 5 possible stages that we can go and make. There aren't really any names for them, but each stage goes and has a unique, I don't really want to use the term gimmick, but that's essentially what it is. Maybe mechanic might be a better term to it. So first off, we have to go and select which stage we want to go and play. The most default basic one would go and be this blue one here. So once we go and select our stage, we have the option of going and selecting which ship we're going and using for that stage. There are a total of 10 ships in the game, but when you go and start, you really only have access to this one. And then if you get enough gems, you can go and buy this other ship that's available. But we just have this basic default one with no special feature to it whatsoever. We'll go and look at some of the other ships as time goes on. But other than that, let's go ahead and just get started, shall we? So there is a brief tutorial how it goes and explains what's going on in the game itself. We'll skip past that and I'll kind of explain as best I can while we go. So this is a puzzle title at its core, the puzzle part of it. We have all these different colored aliens. If we go and shoot an alien, it goes and blows up. And if there are other aliens of the same color touching it, then those aliens go and die in a chain as well. But when you get to the end of that chain, the enemies at the end of that chain that are a different color than the one that you were going and blowing up go and turn into crystals that are indestructible. So you have to be really careful about the path and the enemies that you're actually choosing to go and shoot, because you could potentially go and block yourself in. So in addition to all of that, there are also special enemies throughout the course of the stage. 6 total. There'll be 3 black enemies that go and have emeralds within them. And then there are also 3 upgrade enemies that will go and be the color blue, red, and green, which will go and drop in order: shield power up, attack power up, and speed power up. So here's one of those green enemies I was talking about. We did blow him up and there's his power up. So you might have noticed that as I'm going and destroying enemies, they're turning into gems. So these are the gems that you can go and use to go and purchase more ships. So even if you go and die in the course of the stage, you're still going and accumulating whatever gems you would have happened to have earned. Ooh, that was bad. Whatever gems you would have earned throughout the course of the stage. So even in your death, you can still possibly go and make progression, which is definitely satisfying. In a kind of title like this, it can go and be difficult, but that same progression goes and definitely brings about a desire to go and keep on pushing forward in the stage. Even if you're going and dying, you still want to accumulate something, and thus you want to go and jump right back in and keep on building yourself up. It's a really satisfying mechanic, at least that's the way that I go and feel about it. So we'll go and do our best to actually progress all the way through the stage here. So the ships that we can actually go and unlock go and, as I went and mentioned, there's a certain mechanic that's unique to each stages. For example, this one, we've got jellyfish, and the jellyfish aren't actually in any other stage. So the ship that's immune to electricity is immune to these jellyfish. So we can go and, if we're having difficulty with that particular mechanic in the stage, we can go and purchase that ship, and we'll have an easier time of being able to go and actually progress through this stage. And that's kind of the way that a lot of the upgraded ships are, is they go and provide you an easier way to go and tackle the stage that you're going and currently playing. In addition to being able to go and purchase ships that... Oh, good. I thought I had blocked myself in there. So in addition to being able to go and purchase ships that can go and help you move through the stages, it's also possible to go and upgrade the ships as well. So I went and mentioned that there are 3 enemies that go and contain upgrades in each stage. So those upgrades can be used to go and upgrade the stats of the individual ships themselves. But keep in mind, there are only 6 upgrades of a certain type, because there's only 6 enemies of that certain type in the entire game itself. So you want to be really careful with the upgrade you do choose to ultimately go and use on which ships, as you don't want to go and upgrade a ship that you're not going to go and use again. But if you need to go and upgrade it to go and get past the stage, that's one thing. So here we are at the boss of the first stage. So real quick, an interesting little mechanic. As you're going and moving through the stages normally, if you go and press the fire button, you're going and firing just a single shot. But when you get to the boss, a nice little help that they go and give you is that shot suddenly goes and becomes an auto fire, so you have an easier time of being able to go and deal damage to the boss and all of his annoying little minions that he goes and throws at you. And the fun bullet hell-like patterns that they go and use. That one's definitely the easiest boss by far, so he wasn't too bad to go and take down. So, that goes and brings me to another point about this title. So throughout the entire course of the gameplay, you've got your pilot going and providing commentary. And I think it's really great how they went and programmed that, as it's really situational what he's going and saying. So there's that really fun aspect of it. But there is sometimes some comments that seem a little bit too vulgar or that just don't really fit the title, and I can understand their choice with that, but it just seems a little jarring. So there's one little downside that I've gone and kind of felt about the title. So we'll go ahead and pick this stage. We didn't have enough gems built up to go and purchase the ship I wanted to go and save up to go and buy. So here we go and see that this stage goes and has these little slime minion things that are actually going and shooting shots at us, going and providing yet another level of difficulty to the game itself. In addition to going and finding our way through, we have enemies going and shooting back at us now. That's not always going to go and be the case, but for a couple stages at least it is. So just go and pick our way through. Be careful not to get shot by the enemies. So one of the 2 ships that we did go and unlock, we will die also if the enemies goes and touches us. One of the 2 ships that we did go and unlock actually has the ability that it's immune to small bullets. So that's really helpful, not even so much in this stage as it is in one of the other stages where there's a lot of turrets going and shooting at you like constantly throughout the course of the stage. And that one goes and costs 300 gems total to go and purchase, and it's the one I'm actually saving up for at this point. Our pilot here definitely does seem to have a thing against rocks. I'm not quite sure why, but well, here's a good example of going and boxing yourself in. I went and destroyed the enemies in such a way that all the ones like forward of me had turned into crystals, and there was no way for me to actually go and progress forward. So you just want to go and be careful of where you're going and shooting so you don't necessarily create that kind of a pattern. Going in guns blazing will likely just block your way forward. So you want to go and pick your path carefully. So overall, this title is definitely a gem of an indie shoot 'em up that I really recommend you go and play if you like, well, shoot 'em ups or puzzle titles. It might not necessarily be for everybody, but especially the progression system that it goes and has in it, and just the fun gameplay, coupled with the really neat pixel art, and it's got a really nice soundtrack as well. It goes and makes this a great package, especially for the relatively cheap price that it's available for. It's only $4 on Steam, so I can go and full-heartedly go and recommend this title to anybody that's a shoot 'em up fan. So we managed to go make it to the boss of the second stage. We didn't do really good on picking up the emeralds or the upgrades this time around, but hopefully that shouldn't go and be too big of an issue. If you do want to go 100% the game, though, you will have to go move through the stages multiple times. Well, maybe not multiple times. You could potentially go and get all the emeralds and the power-ups in one run. But if you do go and move through the stages later on to go and complete them as far as picking up the rest of the power-ups, if you defeat the boss, you won't have to go and fight the boss a second time. So that's something to go and keep in mind. Ooh, that was bad. I got pinned there by those bullets. Real quick, let's go and hop back to the menu here. So as you can go and see, I didn't note it very well the first time, but when you go and clear a stage, you go and get 2 more ships unlocked. So we have to buy the ship once we have enough gems, and once the ship is purchased, we can go and upgrade it with the various upgrades that we've picked up from the stages. So I'm going to go and fully upgrade this one, as we have exactly the right number of upgrades, 2 shield upgrades, 1 fist upgrade, and 1 speed upgrade, to go and make this ship as good as it's going to go and get. This is the one that's immune to small bullet impacts, so bullets won't go and destroy us. But in addition to that, we now have basically 2 hits that we can go and take before we die, and we have a stronger shot and better speed. Now with that, we should be able to go and clear this stage, hopefully without any major problems or complications. So going upgrading your shot doesn't really matter for the mobs of enemies that you're going and clearing to get through the stage itself, but the enemies that take multiple hits will go down faster, and you'll also go and deal significantly more damage to the boss itself. So once again, it's really satisfying to go and have a shoot 'em up where even if it's difficult, you can still have a sense of progression even from your deaths. The stages also are procedurally generated, so you're going to go and have a different layout each time. And that could go and be something that's like fun depending on what you're going looking for in a title, as each time you go and run through it, it's not going to go and be the same game. One thing that's always fun about these kind of puzzle titles, though, you have all these different colored enemies, and for me at least, there's always, my eyes get drawn to certain ones that they go and stand out. So that was a really good stage there. I didn't actually get hit, now I go and get hit by the boss, even though I could go and like take hits. So hopefully I don't die, I can go and take this guy out. But with it being a puzzle title that's in that kind of vein, you can go and definitely, you'll see different paths through it that somebody else might not necessarily see, and that's another fun aspect of this kind of game. And stage, well, second stage, accomplished, completed, cleared, however you want to go and say it. Yep, we did make it out in one piece. And that is Super Star Path. So I definitely go and recommend this title if you go and like what you go and see. I'll include a link to the Steam page below just in case you want to go and check it out yourself. But there's just so much fun, awesome replayability here that even though it's a short title, it's still a really satisfying experience. So I want to thank you so much for coming out and joining me for Shoot 'em Up Saturday. And a special thank you to Wanyo for the recommendation. As always, if there's other shoot 'em ups that you think I should go and play for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, or other titles that I should go and be having a look at for the channel, by all means, please go and leave your recommendations in the comments below. I'd love to go and hear from you. Anyway, thank you so much for coming out and joining me today for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and I look forward to going and seeing you again next week.